Welcome back everybody to DGOT, the Instant Reactions. We're back with another one. We're taking on 2026's A24's newest horror movie, Undertone. I'll just go first. My general thoughts. I had decently high expectations for this one just because I thought the trailer looked so good. It looked spooky, looked creepy. It did kind of suffer from that scariest movie of the year kind of award, title that gets thrown around so nonchalantly nowadays. To be honest, I was a little disappointed. I just thought the movie was okay, and I think you text me the same thing as well. So I don't know your full thoughts or anything, but I thought the movie was just okay. And I'll touch on positives and negatives when we get into them. What did you think?
Yeah, there is kind of a curse. It's kind of like the Madden cover curse when you see a trailer and it says the scariest movie since The Exorcist is doomed. But this trailer definitely had me intrigued. I was already going to see it because A24 gang gang, but the trailer I thought looked really good, looked really creepy, and yeah, I liked it more than you. Just judging off of our letterbox scores, but I was I don't want to say disappointed. So I do think it was good. It's just it didn't. I didn't love it as much as I had hoped. But all things considered, I still think it was a good movie. I'm not upset that I spent 94 minutes watching it. It's a good runtime.
Yeah, 94 minutes. Yeah, I just saw. I hadn't seen your letterbox score. You're a point higher than me, but we can just jump into our positives. The sound design was great.
Yeah.
AMC offered a early access screening Monday night in Dolby Cinema. I know you don't like really loud movies, but I liked it.
Man,
It was good.
give you a headache.
But this was the kind of movie you should see in Dolby if you have the option. Like the sound design is incredible. I thought a lot of the camera work was really good. Like this is kind of a positive and a negative. Like it like focuses on like Evie, but you're kind of looking in the background a lot because you're expecting something to happen, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I did like the camera work. I liked there were some really good effective non jump scare, or how do I say this? There were some really effective jump scares that weren't really scares, like when she's on her computer and she just gets like the phone calls or whatever. I thought that was really effective because Lord knows we interviewed Sean Whalen way back when he had an iMac, and every time he got a text, ding, loud as hell. so that's real and authentic. That's something that we've been through. We've walked that walk before with an iMac before. I like this might be weird, but they're doing a podcast. Like they had good voices for a podcast. Like they casted two good actors and actresses for the voices. So I did like that. I think Nina Carey. I don't know much of anything about her. I thought she did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought she had the burden of this movie on her shoulders, really, because she's pretty much the only person you see besides her mama. You only hear Justin's voice as her co-host. I thought Mama was creepy as well. Like, I text you like warning you, it's like another movie with a creepy old person because you brought that up last year a couple times when we did some instance.
Yeah, this movie definitely helped push my agenda. Old people are creepy, man.
Yeah. Especially when they're just laying there and just mumbling some mumbo jumbo and can't move and all that.
Yeah.
I did think there were some creepy moments for sure. A lot of it towards the end, but I wish it would have went further into it. But there were some creepy moments at the end, and this movie was almost there for me. Like it was like it had a lot of good to it, but it just, I don't know, did it just not go all the way off the deep end and like jump right into it enough for me? I don't know, but it was close. And I do think that Ian Tuason, I think is how you say his name, the writer director, it's already been reported he's going to be taking on the next Paranormal Activity movie. So that's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I think he's already got source material with a franchise. Maybe he can go a little further in that franchise or whatever. But I wish he would have done it in his movie.
Yeah.
Just go all in. But what are your positives?
Well, first of all, to touch on that, I hadn't heard that. I just hope that he returns Paranormal Activity to its roots and go back to found footage. I mean, that's what that franchise is. The Ghost Dimension, whatever the last one was. I hated that. But anyway, the sound design was incredible. I called it an auditory experience. And it was. I mean, there's a lot of, for all you ASMR freaks out there, there's a lot of button clicking and just sounds that I think would appease that crowd. I'm not a part of that crowd, but it still sounded great. Um, I think the tension and atmosphere were really good,
Great.
and a lot of that has to do with, like you said, the framing of certain shots. It's easy to show her sitting at a laptop. That we've seen it. We've seen people sitting at a desk all the time, even in horror movies, and you're just like, whatever. But the way that she was framed, she's at the forefront of the shot, but she'd be like to the right, and we can see all this open space to her left, including a dark doorway. And it's like, ooh, is something going to come out? And then there was a couple of times where like the lights would flicker and you do see a silhouette. Man, that was really effective. I think it was a very creepy story too. Um, just I get. Are we going to get into spoilers? The movie just released today, but um,
I'm fine with it.
listen at your own risk. Spoiler alert. I really like how just the premise of these people that do this podcast exploring the paranormal and stuff, and then just getting an anonymous email, and they listen to these audio clips that are in the email, and it just becomes more and more apparent that her life is running a parallel to what she's hearing, and by the end, it's too late. She shouldn't have listened to him. Real one like me would have turned that shit off the second I start hearing demons, but that's just me. Um,
Yeah.
I think that the uh, the last 15 minutes or so were incredible. I really thought that, of course, that's when all the action happens. But as far as a slow burn, you got to have a payoff. And I thought they really did that well in that last 15 minutes. And even before we get there, there's that one shot. I think it might have been in her dream when the camera like zooms down the stairs. It's like I've felt. I think it's about the midway point of the movie. I was like, oh shit, here we go. It's starting. And then we had to wait a little bit longer, which is fine. But it was something to give us. Like, it was like dangling the carrot, letting us know keep going. So yeah, I think that the movie definitely had good tension and atmosphere, and the scares, the source material, I don't mess with anyway. Demon possession, demons, all that. Nah, not for me. So maybe that's why I liked it a little bit more than you, because I felt uneasy.
Yeah, we'll just jump into our qualms now. I agree with you that the atmosphere and the tension, all of that was really good. Like, but to me, it's like once I was I don't know who this person was. I just commented on their TikTok, but it's like they had this perfect atmosphere, this perfect tension, this mood built, but then in like all the way up into the ending, it's like they got it built up all the way, then it just cut, then it just went away. It's like it didn't pay off, and it did that over and over for me, even at the end, like because the movie just ends abruptly. Like we don't actually get a like you're allowed to be open for interpretation for what happens, but we don't actually see that she dies. I mean, do we just assume that what happens to that couple happens to Evie? You know, she's what got the bag wrapped around her head and she falls down the stairs dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe because that's what this case that they're listening to is what happens to them. Does it happen to Evie? What happens to Evie's mama? Like it doesn't show all that, and I wanted that. Like, give us 6 more minutes of the movie and let it show that. Because to me, this movie kind of gave me some Sinister vibes. I don't know if you got that same vibe or not. You know, Ethan Hawke movie. You know, he's going over all these files and all that.
Yeah.
Did you see his quote? I be eating in the bed, and I ain't talking about food.
He is the goat.
That's a real quote from Sir Ethan Hawke. But anywho, that was just my biggest disappointment of this movie. Is just it had such a good atmosphere and such good tension, and like the sound was so good, and like it set up shot so well to like pay off, and it just didn't for me. That's why I gave the movie a 2.5 on Letterboxd. I know you'll share yours, but I don't know. I just felt disappointed by this one, but I really do think Nina Kiri as Evie did a good job. Like she did have a big burden on her shoulders for this movie. She had a lot of grief, a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff on her mind she had to deal with. She's pregnant. Her mom's comatose basically. She's having to be like her CNA, like wipe, like clean her mom up. Like
could have done without the shit in the bed.
Yeah. I mean, front room vibes, right?
Oh.
But I'm just saying, like Evie has got a lot going on, and I just wish if you're going to go this trauma and grief route again, like have the end pay off. Like I want to see what happens to her. Like I want to know for sure what happened. That's just me though. And another thing that really irked me, and this might be minor. she's visibly scared doing the show. But like a lot of times, like the room is dark as hell. Like I'm not doing that. Like like you don't fuck with demons. I get that. But if I'm scared doing this show, like I'm gonna have some lights on.
Uh,
Now towards the end, like when the lights start blowing out, like you can't control that. But I'm not doing this shit in the pitch black. Nah.
I mean, the way I see it, if the demon's going to get you, it's going to get you whether you got a candle lit or not. So,
I'm
whatever.
still going. You see how bright my room is?
That's fair. You were you done?
You go ahead. You go
Okay.
ahead.
So, I actually didn't mind the ambiguous ending, and I think I only feel that way because I think it was Ben Affleck or Matt Damon. I think it was one of them recently said, talking about Netflix making a movie for Netflix, that they want you to reiterate the plot several times throughout the movie because people's attention spans are so bad, and they basically want everything spelled out for the audience to keep them invested. And so I think that's why I appreciated it more, is because sometimes we do need to just be left to wonder, or let our minds draw their own conclusions. And so I kind of like that. It didn't bother me, but my biggest issue was I felt like we needed more of Evie's backstory fleshed out. Like we're just dropped into a day in her life, and we find out that she's not really feeling her boyfriend. We get that vibe on the phone, especially when he said "I love you" and she didn't say it back. She said "Okay, bye." First of all, my
Oof.
guy, that's why you should never say it. But and then then we find out she's talking to her mom and she has to run to the bathroom and puke. Find out she's pregnant. She doesn't know she's going to keep it. And then later in the movie, she's like, "I'm a bad person," or she told her mom, "I'm not sure. I'm not up to being a mama. I'm not good enough to be a mama." Whatever she had, like, and then she's on the recording the podcast or talking to her co-host on the phone before they record one of those, and he's like, "You're not drinking again, are you?" And which we saw her pour a coffee mug full of Irish whiskey, and I just think it's hilarious when movies, like, you couldn't come up with a fictional brand of whiskey. The bottle just said Irish whiskey. It's like, come on. But anyway, um, and she's like, "No," and he's like, "Yeah, good. We need to go forward. Don't want you going back." I want to know more about her backstory. What's going on? I don't necessarily need to know why her mama got sick and all that. Like that part's fine, but all these other things they're dropping on us as nuggets seem like they should be bigger deals to me, and they just weren't. I think the story would have worked just fine had we not known that she might have been an alcoholic. Had she not had boyfriend problems, maybe she's just out of town staying with her mom and her boyfriend's not. Maybe she isn't struggling with, am I good enough to be a mom? I don't know. I think the movie works just fine either way because they didn't make me care about those enough. Um, Another thing that I had a little bit of an issue with is, I guess this is where I would use the term disappointed. I don't mind a slow burn. I like slow burns a lot of the times, and I didn't mind it here, but the trailer didn't make me think I was walking into a slow burn. The trailer is pretty fast paced. And so I
Yeah.
think my expectations were skewed because I was expecting more action throughout. And we really didn't get it to the last 15 minutes of the movie. And I think that hurt it some for me. Yeah, I think that's my.
Yeah.
I think that's
No,
my
I would.
biggest
I want
issue.
to piggyback off of that. Like I'm sure, like you weren't bored watching the movie,
No.
but a lot of people will be.
Yeah.
Like I don't want. I don't want to say like the casuals, but if you're like a more casual horror fan, I don't think you'll. I don't want to say appreciate, but I don't think you'll enjoy this.
Yeah.
It's because I mean it really is like especially like the first like 20 minutes when they're first starting the podcast, they're really just doing a podcast. Like
And nothing
she's just
creepy
yapping
happens.
into it. Yeah, she's just yapping into a mic and he's yapping back.
Yep.
And I got to ask you a question: if they're weekly releases and they're like recording at like what 3? Is that AM? I'm assuming.
I got.
Or is
I
that PM?
I think he was in England
Okay.
because remember there was that scene where she's like, he's like, "What time is it?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I need to go to work anyway." And it was late at night for her. And then later in the movie, when he's like, "My clock says it's 20 to 9, but it should be 20 to 6," or what? I don't remember the times, or 20 to 3 when it should be 20
Yeah.
to 9. That's in England is a 6 hour difference. I know that because I follow the sorry ass Wolverhampton Wanderers in English Premier League soccer. But yeah, so who's editing this? Because if it's her, you ain't gonna make that release.
Yeah, and it's like we'll record in a couple of days. Like there's only 7 days in a week. How
Yeah,
you getting this out as a weekly release?
I thought that too because they stopped recording. They're like, it's a good stopping point. We'll record in 2 days,
And it's like 10 minutes of a show. It's like y'all can't record longer.
and then they meet up in 2 days to record again, or meet up virtually to record again. And she's like, yeah, we'll just record again in a couple of days. So I'm like, okay, that right there is 6 days. So he might have ended that last call and not even got up from the computer, just edit it and publish it right then because you're right. There's only 7 days in a week.
But I just didn't understand. It's like they listen to these audio, like they got 10 audio files. They're doing like two at a time most of the time because like she gets like they start getting creeped out a little bit. We need to look into that software they're using.
Yeah, it looked pretty
Like
good.
take phone calls and all that. Like that sounded it looked crispy.
Live calls will be fun for our like mailbag episodes and stuff like that we do occasionally. Have people
Yeah,
call.
let Matthew Heifer call in and just say some outlandish stuff on live on the air that we'll never get to take back.
Yeah.
My ex-wife, let me tell you about her. But nah, that's just a minor nitpick. You know, I'm just joking around with it. But I really wish they would have explored more into like. Let me ask you something, Shane Walsh voice. Was them like Googling like children's like nursery rhymes played backwards? Was that like too cheesy, or is that something? I mean, it's something I grew up with. Like I remember that stuff. Like the hidden messages, blah blah blah. But I don't know. Was it? I don't think it bothered me, but just thinking back on it, there's like Mary had a little lamb backwards. Is that weird? Like is that original enough for you, or is it?
I
Did it
mean,
work?
I didn't mind it just because you're right. It is something we've seen before, we've heard before, but it's been a long time. I remember, back in the day, they used to say, like back before we were born, you play with the rock and roll records backwards. They're praising the devil. And then even in Little Nicky, shout out to Adam Sandler, they played the Chicago record backwards and he's praising Satan and all this stuff. So I think it's a thing that we used to see a lot more than we do. So it didn't bother me. But you're right. Some of it could be taken as cheesy. One of the things that I thought I saw it coming a mile away there at the end when things are going haywire and her that video that made everybody commit suicides on her TV. I was like, I bet the TV's not even plugged in. Sure as shit, she pulled up the plug and it's not in the wall. So I was like, I saw that coming.
Pull the TV down.
Yeah, put a blanket over it.
You ain't gotta look at it. Hell, just pull that something gun down, throw a blanket over it. And I really wish they would have explored more into like the mom and like the statue that kept appearing and like why this light in the closet kept turning on. Like dive more into that too.
Yeah.
Like I guess I just wanted it to be more traditional horror instead of I don't know.
So
it's not like I wanted everything explained more because I do like ambiguous movies that make you think. But for this one, I kind of like the end of Sinister when Ethan Hawke's character and his family gets all killed and Bagul carries the daughter out. Like that's a really creepy, scary ending. I like that. Like I would have liked something more like that to happen for this movie.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I tend to agree with some of that as well.
Just so you kind of know what's going on.
It just felt like, for as creepy and unsettling as the atmosphere was, it felt like something was missing from the story. And I can't necessarily say what that something was, but when you see it, you know it. You're like, oh, this movie has it all. This one was missing something.
Yeah, and I might be a little too harsh at 2.5. Like I don't know if I'd give it a 5. I'd probably go like 5.5, 6 maybe. So maybe I'll give it a little bit of a bump later down the road because I didn't hate the movie by any means. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Just disappointed.
Well, I will say, you saw this Monday. I just saw it today. Today is Thursday. I was hoping to see it Monday as well. I went to Regal's Mystery Monday, and I thought, okay, maybe Regal will show it since AMC's doing the early screening. Maybe we'll get to see it. I got to see Slanted, the movie that's basically like Mean Girls meets The Substance, and with McKenna Grace.
Should I be offended that it's called Slanted and it's about an Asian girl?
I think that's why it's called that. Because they do mention, like when she's in the movie, she arrives her first day of school. They do the stretching the eyes with the fingers to make them look Chinese stuff that we've seen, and someone asked why her eyes are slanted. So I think that's why. But that movie, I would watch this one every day of the week over Slanted. That movie was just kind of cheesy. predictable. But it is what it is. I got to see them both in the same week, and yeah,
Well,
beats
I
Screamboat.
gave my rating on. You're gonna always get that slander out there. I gave my rating for the movie 2.5 out of 5, uh, just on Letterboxd. You want to throw yours out there?
Yeah, I gave this one a. Let me pull it up here. I gave it a 3.5. And like I said, and that's really because the atmosphere and sound design were so good. I said it's an auditory experience, very creepy, especially in the final act. But it's a very slow burn that I felt like could have used more backstory with Evie. And I will say this is the most bizarre pro-abortion movie I've ever seen. It just really feels like as soon as she finds out she's pregnant, if she goes and gets the abortion, none of this happens because that's what the demon wants is her baby. So just you volunteer the baby as tribute, boom, you don't get haunted. That's the way I took it.
This was the uh, complete or this was like what the whatever the like a good polar opposite reference would be to like nefarious.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've heard of Plan B before, but I guess this is Plan D for demon. I don't know.
But I'm pretty content with this. I mean, it's not like I don't want to chat more about it, but it's like this movie's really kind of a one location thing. Like it's this one girl in her house. I'm pretty sure she's in the house the whole movie, isn't she? Do we see any shots of her outside of the house?
No,
Not that I can remember.
she
I
left.
mean,
The
she's in
house.
different rooms, but
She left the house to go to a party and told her mama she'd be back in a couple hours and did come back to the next day. So that just goes to show that even when they're being haunted, women still lie all the time.
yeah,
I will say
just
this:
let her mom fall out of the bed.
let her yeah, she walked in, her mom's face down. Yeah, maybe you deserve to be haunted by a demon. But that scene where she walks in the bedroom and she yells, "Mama!" I almost in the theater went, "Ooh, I just killed a man," but I didn't because there was other moviegoers in there with me.
How packed was your crowd today?
It was pretty good actually. There was, which it's spring break for a lot of people. So there was some college age kids in there with their parents. It looked like there was probably 6 to 8 on the row in front of me. Uh, I think 2 or 3 behind me, and then 2 people sitting up in the lower section. So that's a decent crowd for a 4 o'clock showing on a Thursday. And I'll say this: I saw a double feature today. I saw Reminders of Him, and before anyone judges me for saying that, I only went because Tyreek Withers is in the movie, and I'm a big fan of him. Played football at Florida State, from Jacksonville. I like him. That movie sucked. He's so much better than the roles he's been taking. His last 3 movies, you've got Reminders of him, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, all misses, no hits. But anyway, that theater was packed, and I felt so uncomfortable because it was nothing but like teenage girls and their moms. I was the only guy in the theater. And as soon as, I mean, I don't even think the closing credits had started rolling. I was like, I got to get out of here before someone sees me.
Yeah, when I went and saw The Housemaid, I was like one of the only 2 guys in there. Like it was like all chicks. Like it was that place was packed. Like even like row A was completely full. And I did not feel awkward in there. They're like them ladies was feeling that. But we'll move on. No, the reason I asked that about your theater, like the crowd, is because I wanted to ask you a question. If there's anything you've noticed, like because I've noticed this for sure. Like even like a couple years ago, but when I went and saw Scream 7 in Tampa, place was packed.
Mm.
Those attendees were not very polite in the theater.
Mm.
Like those are more casual horror fans. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a Scream movie. Undertone, this place was packed. Dead silence. Beautiful crowd. Do you notice that when you go to see like A24 horror movies compared to like more mainstream, like you get a much better crowd?
Yeah.
It's like and I don't want to sound pretentious, but it's like they enjoy cinema more.
Yeah. Like even one that really sticks out was The Ugly Stepsister, because that was one of those that, if you remember, I think I had to go see that one at 10 o'clock at night. And I was expecting there's not going to be anyone in there. I walked in and there was a decent amount of people in there. And they were chatting before the movie, like on the trailers. But then when it started, it was like silence. And I was like, okay, I appreciate this. I think you're onto something there. I think when it's a more niche film, people tend to be more serious about the genre and they want to fully appreciate the movie. Now, I will say there was a time today that I thought someone was talking in the theater, like that couple that I said was sitting in the lower section. I think they were talking, but also I don't know because it was during they're playing the audio clips on the podcast, and I couldn't tell if that was background from the clip that they were playing or if that was someone talking. And then it would go silent. The movie would go silent, and I wouldn't hear them anymore. But that happened a couple times, so I'll be curious to watch this one at home and see if I hear that again. And the guy that was sitting directly behind me, he thought that too, I think, because he got up and like walked out like he was going to use the restroom, but immediately turned back down and took a couple steps towards that lower section and looked. So I think he was trying to figure it out too. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah. No, I really started noticing this like when a couple years ago when I saw Smile 2, not a good crowd. Then I saw Heretic. I was like, this is a really good crowd. Like there's a difference between the kind of people who see these movies.
A24 brings out the best in us all.
I mean, it's just something I've noticed for sure.
Yeah.
Like same thing with me with Ugly Stepsister. Like there was no talking. Like it was just people watching the movie. And the only times I ever heard anything was just like when pulling the damn tapeworm out, cutting the foot off,
Yeah.
just cringing. But it wasn't like being rude. Like it's like it wasn't obnoxious reactions. Like you'll get a lot of those sometimes.
So I will. Okay, I'll tell one more quick story and we can get out of here. Monday, the Mystery Monday movies at Regal usually are a rough crowd because for $5 you get a ticket. You don't know what the movie is, so it could be people that don't care about this genre, this type of movie. Sometimes it can get to be a rough crowd. I go Monday, I'm sitting there before the movie starts, and this couple comes in, and there's two seats beside to my left, empty, and then there's a guy sitting there that I've told you about. I've been in the theater with him before. He's that older guy that he laughs like this, ha 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 ha. I'm not joking. That's the speed and cadence and sound of his laugh. He's sitting there, and then this couple comes and sits directly on to his left. And they were trying to guess what the movie was before the trailer started. And the boyfriend said, I think it's going to be Slanted. And she was like, oh, no, please be ready or not. She was like, please be another horror. I can't remember what the other option she said, but she's like, if it's like The Substance, it makes me gross. Why can't it be a ghost or something? And I was like, oh, God, she's going to complain the whole movie. But she was quiet. But that jackass with the laugh, there's a scene in the movie when a dad says they're talking about a mom that left. He said, yep, this could have all been hers. And he's talking about his lavish home. This could have all been hers. The guy with that laugh said loud enough for everyone in the back row to hear, he dodged a bullet there. Ha, ha. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me. You got to be
funny,
kidding.
though? Was it funny?
What he said wasn't funny. His voice, his talking pattern, he was funny.
Yeah, I got
and
you.
Everyone laughing, like people were laughing, like I said, in the back row, and hearing them laugh was funny. And then every time he would laugh during the movie, I would look at that couple to his left, and the girl would just be like hiding her face, trying not to laugh at him. He has to know he has the most ridiculous laugh ever.
It's probably on purpose at this point.
Yeah.
But we appreciate everyone tuning in. I think it's definitely worth going to go see if you're still around. If you stayed around for this whole reaction, you got it all spoiled. But if you hadn't seen it, it's still worth going to at least checking out. Form your own opinion. I just looked on IMDb and the ratings. Like the two highest parts, like the two highest ratings on that on their tier was 1 and 10. Like so, they either loved it or hated it. It seemed like, even though we're more in the middle, but. Definitely worth checking out. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back next week with, I think, Ready or Not 2 will probably be our next instant reaction that we do.
Yeah, sure. Or if
we'll be back next week.
If you go see Slanted, we could do that one.
I just don't know if I have time.
I wouldn't.
I'll say less. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I will not be going to see Slanted.
Good night, cinema lovers.
A24.
Gang, gang.